I want to switch it and look at the story. You can read it at chapter and verse. Lorraine has a deep dive on this classified documents case because this is, like I told you, I haven't been watching. I've watched it, but I don't follow it on air with you day by day because it gets into the weeds and it's boring and I don't care. I think that it's a combination of unforced errors and witch huntery. And so, it is what it is. When there are big developments, I'll bring it up. So there was a pretty big development with the classified documents case. And this was the one where they found those classified documents literally in the bathroom in Mar-a-Lago. And just as much as we would raise questions for Joe Biden having classified documents in the garage, then you're going to wonder, okay, why do we have stacks of classified docs in a mostly unused bathroom at Mar-a-Lago? So yeah, I think that there are questions. And yes, while the executive can declassify things, there is a very easy process that they do and are legally required to go through to do it. And we talked to Andy McCarthy about that before, like right when this case first broke. So out of all of the cases, like I think the New York case is stupid, the Georgia case. This was the case, though, that I have said consistently, if they were going to get him on anything, it would be this case. It would be something from this case. Because I don't think that there was a crime committed in New York. I really don't. You can sit here and say it was a lapse of moral character. You can say, then don't pay your side piece. Then don't have an affair. You can say all that stuff, but none of those things are illegal. And the question isn't whether it's morally acceptable. It's whether or not it's illegal and invalidating and whether it rises to that of a felony, which it doesn't. But this case is the one that you actually could get something. I'm being honest because you either want to handle the reality and figure out a solution or you don't and you want to stick your head in the sand and you want to lose because you don't want to fight. That's fine. But this was the case and Lorraine agrees, especially when there was audio leaked where Trump was showing people classified documents. And so there was a lot of it that was ambiguous about this case, the details of it. And that's because so much stuff was under seal. They had so many things that were sealed. And Arlene Cannon, who's the judge here, she was a Trump appointee. And so the media wanted to present Cannon as being someone who was compromised and unreliable and who should recuse herself from the case because she was a Trump appointee. They want to get back at Trump for having a judicial half of his first term. And they think this is the best, one of the ways to do it. And so they think that she's biased. She's even she has ruled in favor. And this is one thing that Lorraine noted over again. It's at Substack, chapter and verse. Her record, she sides with Jack Smith more than she did with Trump. So the media accusations about that, Newsweek had a whole piece on this. She sided with Jack Smith more than she did with the Trump team. And so she recently unsealed as the trial date, because remember, it was supposed to be May 20th. The trial was going to start. So she started unsealing documents, and a lot of the information that was unredacted, they had, like, for instance, August 18th, 2023, Walt Netta's lawyer, Stanley Woodward, alerted the court that during the D.C. grand jury investigation, the Department of Justice lawyer had issued this very, very thinly veiled threat to Woodward's career unless he could get his client to flip on Trump. And that's all. There's all kinds of documents that have been unredacted on this. So all the unsealed stuff. This is all the stuff that we didn't know leading up to this. And so then they found out via a FOIA request that there's some impropriety. The DOJ and the White House counsel, etc., they were working together. Throughout 21, they were in contact with the Biden White House counsel, and Real Clear Investigations has a deep dive specifically on that, because apparently they were laying the groundwork for this before they ever brought this indictment to light. But the big thing is now there is accusations and there exists some evidence of tampering by the DOJ. And this is up at, again, Substack chapter and verse. The defendants were ordered in April to tell the court which classified documents that they needed for their defenses. This was on by May 9th, so by tomorrow. And then on the 2nd of this month, Nauda's lawyer filed a request to extend the deadline, and they alerted the court to an issue with boxes. Nauda had been charged with concealing this classified information, right? Because he apparently was moving these boxes prior to the search, Trump's own lawyer's search. And Nauda's defense need to know what documents came from what box and each document was in and how it was marked, because it's kind of vital to his case. I mean, if you're charged with moving around boxes and documents, then you need to know which admitted to evidence was from what box and which was marked, because is that something that you actually were, you need to know these details. And apparently the Department of Justice doesn't have those details. They mixed up all of the order of documents that were in all of the boxes. And they apparently, all of the restrictions on what material can be viewed inside and outside the SCIF. So now Nauda's attorney cannot figure out, and again, because he's charged with concealing evidence by moving these boxes. But if the DOJ can't tell what evidence that they've submitted came from what box, then how do you know that Nauda had anything to do with the documents in question being used as evidence, whether or not they came from any of the boxes that he moved? Does that make sense? So the DOJ can't even, they screwed up and messed everything up. They didn't mark everything down. They don't know what has to be inside or outside the SCIF. And that's the secure area for viewing these classified documents. And so if you're Nauda, how are you preparing your defense case? You have no idea if what you are being asked, did you move this document? Well, was it in the box of boxes that I moved? Well, we can't answer that question. Well, then how can I answer your question? That's what's going on here. And so that's the biggest thing. And apparently the agents conducting the raid on Mar-a-Lago, they didn't maintain the order of the boxes when they went through all of them. And apparently they didn't even put the right cover sheets back on the right documents, and they made an absolute mess. So the crazy thing is that this is the case that stood the most chance of actually getting some kind of conviction. And it looks like the DOJ may have messed all of it up because of their insane incompetency. Out of all the cases, this is the one where everyone from Andy McCarthy, who is a very legal guy, he's a word of law, and he's even thinking, gosh, this has all been a witch hunt with us. This is at the point now where they may not get anything because they messed it all up. I mean, they admit in a footnote that they lied to the court. They promised the judge that the boxes were taken exactly as they were found and everything was kept exactly in each box. They said, and Lorraine has this in her piece at Substack, the government acknowledges that this is inconsistent with what the government counsel previously understood and represented to the court. This is, what is this? And so they removed all this stuff. And so now one of the other things, and one of the evidence, one of the batches of evidence they have a written placeholder for a one-page document that's like a secret, classified document. Some of the documents, because they've messed up all the cover sheets and they can't tell what goes with where. Some that are confidential say secret, and some that are like classified say secret. Some that are confidential say classified. They've messed all of it up. They have no idea what's classified and what isn't anymore now. They have messed up their whole case. How do you unravel this? Can you? Oh my gosh. Dismissal. I mean, they did. And by the way, this was going to trial. The trial started May 20th. They only literally just now started admitting to this. They were going to let this go all the way. Is that not something? The full piece is over at Substack, chapter and verse. It's the top story there right now. Go and check it out.